Here is your astrology chart. So what we're looking at here is this circle representing the Earth, this X representing you on Earth, and this is a map of the sky the moment you were born. This outer circle is a map of the sky today. In this way, we can see what initiation cycles you're in by looking at what's happening in the sky and how that's engaging with your natal chart. So I'm going to start off by looking at your lineage, which is your south node in the moon, tells us about your habits, patterns, addictions, what you've come into this life already being a master of. So everybody has this innate gift or something that's their most natural thing. It's easy for them even. Then I'm going to go into the rising sign material, which is where your growth edge is. These are things that'll be more difficult for you, and they're also where your greatest gifts are. They're challenging because you're here to learn how to master these particular things, which come from the rising sign and the north node. The south and north node have to do with south node being over here, what you've already mastered. We can see you have Saturn on the south node and that this is in the 8th house in Scorpio. So we can just get from that your power, things that you've already mastered, have to do with secrets, intensity, money, sexuality, those 8th house mysteries, and that you are bringing those out because the south node in the 8th house says that this is where your what you're already a master of, and also what you are somewhat addicted to. It's your karmic patterning, something that you're so good at that it can become a habit that you're good at it, so you just keep doing it. South node is where we've been. The north node is where we're going. So that's always in direct opposition. You can see you have Ceres here on the north node. And I wanted to mention that you have Saturn on the south node, which brings this extra emphasis of being the boss of the 8th house, because Saturn is known as the boss, the authority. And my sense is, because it's on the south node, that it's like if you think about a past life or something like that, that you would have already been the master of this 8th house mysteries, the head shaman or the head priestess of the temple, the dark goddesses, something like that. There's also a little witchery in there because the 8th house has to do with all that sorcery, magic, the realm of magic and shamanism and things that are considered to be hidden or occult. So over here on this other end, the north node, what you're here to master, having Ceres there, second house, north node is pleasure. So we're going from being the master of secrets, intensity, intense energy and power, over to being fully in your body, enjoying the pleasure of having a human body. And Ceres there adds this extra layer of, if you know the mythology of Ceres, we can start with that top layer of Ceres, which is that she is goddess of grains, and walking the earth. We'll just leave it there because the whole mythology of Ceres gets pretty intense and takes us into the underworld and what it is that we are willing to surrender in order to have what we want. So I would recommend just getting into that mythology, reading it, and seeing how your personal mythology relates to that Ceres story. Okay, so the way we do this is look at the south node in combination with the moon. So I will call yours the Scorpio job in the Aries tribe, saying that what you've already mastered has to do with this intense energy, shamanism, magic, because the south node. Scorpio job in the Aries tribe. Your moon is Aries. This is fierce, protective, very strong-willed, fiery energy. So Aries moon people have a tendency to be very direct, to the point, and they are on purpose. They're on fire. And sometimes if you feel like you're not on purpose, just know that you are, because there is a purpose even in that sense of purposeless. So that's your lineage, where you're coming from. So keeping it just with looking at the moon, as a little kid coming in with an Aries moon, my son has an Aries moon, the youngest one. And there is this automatic sense of, well, for him, I can say he automatically, 6 months old, loved firefighters. He loved the police cars and the loud sounds. His first favorite band was Iron Maiden. So there's this, you know what? He also has the same south node as you in the 8th house. So there's this automatic love of intensity and passion and fire. And he comes with that full force energy that can be very overwhelming for some people. Not for me, I love it. But for some people, I can see that, it'd be very overwhelming. So as a parent of this Scorpio job in the Aries tribe child, my job is to keep the fire up and to teach him how to work with that energy. So if you had parents like that as a little child growing up, I can see that being beneficial, but most of the time our parents aren't going to be like, oh, wow, look at how intense and deep and dark my child is. They might want to try to make you happier or more pleasant, especially as a little girl growing up. You were born in 1985, so I don't know. It might have been different. I was born in 1979, but when I was a little kid, they wanted all the girls to be very pleasant, helpful, nurturing, and that's not you. As a little girl growing up, you weren't that nurturing, soft, nice, sweet little girl. I'm not saying you weren't nice and sweet, but Scorpio job in the Aries tribe is very direct. And one of the words I use is mean, because it comes off sharp and laser focus. Okay, so that's the lineage, and we can go on and on talking about that, but I want to move into what you're here to learn about, which is Taurus job in the Aries tribe. Taurus job, because the North Node we mentioned has Siegrist there. It's in the 2nd house, and your rising sign is Aries. Again, interesting, because my Kailash, my 6-year-old, has also Aries rising, same nodal axis as you. So Taurus job in the Aries tribe. So let's look first at the Aries tribe. You're here to learn. Always interesting to me when the moon and the rising sign are the same, because the moon says something that you've already mastered, something you've already become. You're the master of that realm. When the rising sign is also in the same sign as the moon, it says that now you're here to do this in a new and evolved way, meaning that you are evolving the Aries mysteries. So even you, being the master of Aries, doesn't know what's coming. You don't know what the new material for Aries is going to be, because you are actively evolving those mysteries. I can't say what they're going to be. I have no idea. This new way that you're going to be showing us how to do Aries, how to be on purpose, living a meaningful life, having a fierce commitment to whatever it is that you're committed to. That's Aries as a rising sign. So when we look at the North Node being in the 2nd house, Taurus job in the Aries tribe. So now we've got this laser focus and being fiercely committed to what your purpose is, what your meaning is, what you're here to further on Earth in your life. The North Node is in the 2nd house, saying, let's do this in ways that brings more pleasure. That is, we're evolving into this Aries rising in a way that is I want to say seductive and delicious and beautiful and sensual, because those are the things of the second house, having to do with really being in our bodies. And I feel like as I'm saying this, this is where we really connect, because this is my total realm of, what I'm really bringing forth is that getting into the physical body, enjoying being in our bodies, and just, it gives me chills just thinking about how delicious that second house can be. It's also the house of abundance, physical abundance, money, abundance of pleasure, abundance of beauty, everything that you can think about where that has to do with having a physical body, all the fun and enjoyment we get from that. Okay, so every time you're up for a decision, making a decision, you can look at that nodal axis. I think we've talked about this personally in a message, so I won't go too far into this because there's so much the same with your moon and your rising. Generally, what we want to do is honor the moon and move away from it, meaning that we know this already. We already know the moon. We want to move into the rising sign. So for you, since it's the same, you want to honor your moon and also keep asking, what is my growth edge within these Aries mysteries? Where can I step a little bit more into getting more into that fierceness and my commitment, my being fiercely committed to what I'm here to further? And then looking at that nodal axis for a little bit more information. And something that I would also offer, because you have a moon and rising sign in the same position, and when you have questions, what you might want to do is see the transiting planets. So right now there's a lot of things transiting on your moon and your rising sign. And also you have Venus and Mars here too. Venus and Mars explain about our feminine and masculine energy. The things that make us want to pull things in, attraction, allure. This is Venus, energy going this way. We want to draw things in. And then Mars, that the way we project ourselves out. And in relationships, this is a very dynamic push-pull. What we're attracted to, what we desire, what we want, and also what we're willing to do to get that. That's Mars, where we're willing to step outside of that comfort zone and be direct, and sometimes even looking foolish, because that's what it's like. Mars is our desire going outward, and the way that we're willing to do that. Since you have Venus and Mars both in Aries, to me, it feels like your allure and attraction is Venus. So Venus, allure and attraction in Aries, has this seductive fire. It's direct, and there's a sexiness in that. And then for Mars, the way you're going to go outward, the same thing, having those Aries qualities of being very direct, moving outward. So with Venus, it's a directness in the way you're going to, I'm seeing the eyes, I'm seeing your eyes drawing things in. Because with Venus, it's more of a, how do you pull things into you? And for Aries, I feel like it has to do with that. So there's a lot of heat, there's itchiness, there's, within the physical body, watery eyes, because that fire. And then the way we're going to do the outward movement has to do with speaking, saying things. And not to say that your allure won't have a speaking energy to it, but I feel like it has more of you're exuding whatever, I'm seeing the watery eyes and the exudate, what's coming out through your skin in heat and fire as part of your Venus, as part of the way that you are drawing things to you, even though they're coming out. My sense is that although it may be coming out, that there's another way that your inner feminine wants to I want to say be met, because when the fluids are coming outward, that it's showing you a way to meet the world. It's letting your actual, like, your insides, your essence become made physical, and then it's merging with the outer world. So in a way, anything that you might be experiencing, because there's so much heat with you, there's so much fire, and I just keep seeing eyes and essence coming out of you. So somehow working with that as part of your feminine allure and attractiveness, pheromones, that's coming in. So, exudate from the underarms and from your glands, like you really being able to work with that and speak to it, speak with it. So this is where we merge Venus and Mars together. This is the sacred marriage. So your inner masculine and your inner feminine being able to merge and unite within yourself. So you're having these conversations. Okay, so how does my inner feminine, what does it want to draw in? And in what ways does it do it? And I'm sensing the fluids. That's what I'm seeing right now. Pheromones and watery eyes. And even itchiness, because sometimes the skin, what it's exuding, is part of, it's your essence. It's part of your essence. So working with that, and then with Mars, there's an action, because it wants to go do something and be direct, and it's in an outspoken kind of a way. So with the transits right now, Chiron is at 4 degrees. This is the major thing I want to talk about with you. Chiron being the alchemist, the one who in Chiron's mythology, he was the teacher, the astrologist, the musician, the writer. Chiron basically mastered the arts of natural living. I feel super connected to Chiron so much. Looking at on your chart what Chiron is in your life, I'm going to get into that next, because I feel like you probably also feel deeply connected with those things I just mentioned. It's the master of natural arts, the art of war, the art of healing. And the people have mostly pinned Chiron to the wounded healer. But Chiron is so much more than that. He's teaching us how, or in his mythology, teaching us how to be human and access all of our natural resources from the inside. So Chiron right now is transiting your natal moon. The moon having to do with your past, your lineage, your history, your deep sense of emotionality on the inside. Also relates to your mother and the way that you mother yourself. Having this Chiron transit right now, because Chiron's at 4 degrees Aries and your moon is at 4 degrees Aries. This is so important right now. So I want to mention this as a side note. I have a little, it's not little, but I think it's like 15-page workbook to work with Chiron to get really, it'll help you through the transit and also get you very clear on your wound and your gift. Chiron shows us where we have a wound, and that wound is at the same time our greatest gift. It's our medicine. You know, when you cut the tree and the sap comes out, the wound was the cut. And it also is liberating this medicine. So what is your medicine? That's what we get from Chiron. Having a Chiron transit on your moon is showing us about, what I'm sensing is that bringing up anything that you may have a wounding around your mother, the way you mother yourself, your emotions, and also astrology, music, writing, poetry, war, all of that stuff that Chiron represents is it's just so much energy touching your natal moon right now. So I could spend a lot more time talking about that also, but I want to look at one more thing here, and that is The moon today is on your Venus and Mars. Not only that, Venus is exact on your natal Mars today. So when Venus makes a transit to your natal Mars, this is letting you have that, allowing that opportunity for integration of feminine masculine, bringing this allure. You know what's so funny is that I relate super deep with Venus because I have Venus on my midheaven. I feel like that's it's, you know, it's me. I feel very much like Venus. And it's so funny that I'm doing your reading today because it's like Venus as I perceive Venus and through myself, transiting your Mars in Aries. It's just it's I guess a funny, ironic thing, maybe. Okay, so also the moon is right there too. So just extra emphasis on the way that you do your feminine, masculine energy. Something you had mentioned, the reason I picked your chart to do the free astrology reading was because, well, first of all, you said, I would really like to win. I would really like to have a reading. And I was like, well, I would really like to do one for you. And also because you said you were interested in the combination of Tantra Yoga and astrology. And I wanted to mention briefly that what we're doing with Tantra Yoga is embracing the whole, meaning that we are all of this. This is a tapestry that is your own psyche. And each of these little elements represents a different thread on the strand of your soul, your heart, your body. And there is a way to engage with each one of these things in everyday activities. So when you're receiving your reading and I'm telling you certain aspects, there's always going to be an embodiment activity for that. So what Tantra Yoga is doing is taking this big idea and bringing it all the way into the body and finding in the body where this big idea is already a match. It's like putting the puzzle back together. As above, so below. As within, so without. So that's what we're doing here. So when I'm talking about Tantra Yoga and astrology, it's a way of merging this big cosmic consciousness with the infinite consciousness within our human body. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I could go on and on. There's so much to cover in an astrology chart, but I just wanted to give you a little bit. The moon and the rising sign, I feel like it's always very helpful because of knowing where you've been and where you're going. And I'm now curious if you've had your Saturn return yet. I feel like you haven't. Is that right? No, you have. Okay, anyway, sorry. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.